What's up guys, and welcome to another episode of El Jardín Perdido. Today, we're planting pomegranate. Alright, so for those of you who follow my channel, you know in my little food forest area here, I have a couple of pomegranates. To be honest, none of them taste great. One came with the property. It's relatively healthy. I've done some videos topping it and such, but the fruit hasn't been that desirable. Another one I must have had from like 10 years ago, unnamed variety I got from a big box nursery. I know it wasn't wonderful, it was just kind of pomegranate labeled. I have transplanted that from my old apartment to here. It's grown prolifically and it's actually had a lot of issues too. It did seed a seedling not too far from it, and that put off its first fruit. I think I did either a short or a video on it, and I tried that and it was actually pretty good. Nothing outstanding, but at least that one is kind of a keeper. You know, I'll keep it around. What we're gonna plant today is the Parfianca. Charles from Ivy Organics sent it to me, and it comes from Dave's nursery. This is a more sought after variety, supposedly better than even wonderful, and it's considered seedless. You know, most of the time we're trying to cut around and figure out how to eat pomegranates, but at least this one you could actually eat all the way through. This one you could actually eat through and not have to spit out seeds because the seeds are soft enough that they're considered edible. It's also a pretty well-desired taste, so I'm looking forward to getting fruit off this guy. Behind me is a fence line partitioning the neighbors. I do have some bamboo and some mulberries growing there. Through the last freeze and the last summer, I did lose a couple of things on that fence line, and I was, figuring out where I'd want to plant this thing. I think it'd be, multi-use. It'd create some privacy if I kind of kept it short, kept it bushy, and the fruit will be nice and accessible and low hanging. Unfortunately, that means I might have to share with my neighbors, but that's okay. So yeah, let's put this in the ground. All right guys, so I found a nice spot along the fence line. I'm replacing a Eugenia. It was a Brazilian cherry that didn't quite make it between our extreme heat and dryness last year, and also our winter. Just totally did it in. I was about to plant right here. I have a pawpaw, and I just noticed a moringa seedling. So I'm gonna move the moringa seedling a little closer to the bamboo, and we're gonna kind of make sure the pomegranate has enough room because it's gonna bush out a lot. So this is the pawpaw I'm talking about. This is the Eugenia that I plan on taking out. You can see the roots aren't even hanging on, it's done. This is the moringa. There's another spot over here, but I have a really thick-rooted moringa. I just did a scratch test and it's still alive, so it'll probably be putting off a nice moringa. All right, so let's dig this guy out and move him over. So hopefully I won't get into the taproot. I'm gonna dig out a little space over here for it. A little further from the fence. And no, I didn't screw that up. Turns out there's no taproot at all. It's just sprouted, hasn't really set its roots out, so that's perfect. So we're just gonna kind of loosen up the soil, gently place that in. Hopefully we didn't do any damage moving it that early, but moringa's pretty resilient. All right, moringa's out of the way. Shake off this Eugenia. Probably had some somewhat acidic soil around it. You can see a lot of bark and stuff. Well, that's all right, we'll use some of that. Pomegranate, they're really resilient, but let's get some of these roots out of here and such, even though they're pretty much dead. So this soil could use a little bit of conditioning. I do have some of this compost and potting soil kind of mixed up together. But I'm gonna add some of that just for some conditioning. And of course, this is slightly raised, this bed, only by a few inches, only because we get severe weather here in Houston, Texas. We're prone to hurricanes. I've lost some trees due to our flooding. So these are very drought tolerant, and so it'll do good in a raised bed like that. I do have some fire ants here, so I'll be careful with that. But yeah, let's dig a hole and make sure we'll be flush by the time we get down there. So, you know, about 8 inches. The further you get down there, the better the soil is. I usually mulch pretty heavy. And just kind of loosen up anything around there. There we go. Let's unwrap this baby. See if this is deep enough. Perfect. And so pomegranates are very prolific, and you can see if I left this in here any longer, we'd have some problems with the roots. So we're just gonna break those up a little bit. It's really not that bad considering, because pomegranates, they're just really prolific growers. And they're really rooty too. So as long as we kind of detangle these, I'm not going to try to break them and stuff, but maybe towards the bottom, loosen them up real good. It'll heal back really quickly. If you guys didn't know, you can practically propagate pomegranate from just throwing a stick in the ground. So we could use a few more inches here. And I want to mix my compost and such with the native soil here. And we're just gonna kind of lasagna layer it up. I could have pre-mixed it, but you don't want it to be completely spoiled, but you want to give it a little bit of a kickstart. And in that, I just meant that if you give it nothing but really rich soil, you're giving it an unrealistic expectation. It's good to give it a little boost, but you don't want to completely baby this thing. So hopefully these fire ants don't make a reappearance. I was actually talking in a Zoom group last night. Someone brought up how to rectify fire ants if you have a problem organically. My method of choice, which could be a separate video in itself, but I'll share it with you. Diatomaceous earth, but also coffee grounds. Coffee grounds aren't gonna kill them, but they will deter them. They'll look for another place. They don't like the acidity. And they don't like the smell. It messes with they basically communicate with pheromones and smell, so it makes them go all haywire. So we're kind of conditioning this in. I think I left most of the ants over here. They'll probably find a way though. But I will have to top this off with some coffee grounds off camera when this video is said and done. All right, now that that's good, I will eventually top this with some wood chips just to seal in some moisture. But I have two products here that are going to help accelerate this process here. I have some fertilizer from Ivy Organics. And this is all natural. We're just gonna sprinkle some around the base here. Give it that little kickstart. We are in spring right now. just heading into April, we're probably gonna get a lot of rain, and so that's gonna be perfect. And also, this isn't a complete necessity, but I'm gonna do a video later on whitewashing. This is something similar to that, but it's basically a foliar for the concept of whitewashing, but the fact that I am in Houston, Texas, I just planted this, the sun's about to be hitting. I want to just kind of give it a little foliar spray, and this is all natural too. This is diatomaceous earth and just some essential oils, but it's gonna do two things here. It's going to mitigate the shock, so the sun won't be hitting it that hard. This is basically gonna go on the leaves and a little bit of the trunk, but you know, whitewashing, you would straight up paint the trunk. Ivy Organics has another whitewashing product that's great, all organic, but this is pretty much a diluted version of that. It's packaged this way. It's super easy to use as a foliar spray, but what this is gonna do is kind of protect the leaves a little bit, both from the sun, but also from insects, and probably these fire ants, because I'm gonna get the base a little bit too. Right now, I don't have a problem with the way that it's tied and trained, but let's see, maybe this top one. Since I want it as a bush, we'll probably let it flourish just a little bit. This probably was done more for packaging, but let's see. Yeah, we'll let this guy breathe a little bit. And something like that, let's see if we can get this bottom one. Something like that is gonna work for me just fine. And so we have a stream on this, and we have a spray. I'm gonna go with spray. And it's very subtle, but you know, I do have pest issues here. And that should at least, if nothing more, deter some insects. Before I mulch this over, I'm going to give it a quick rinse with the hose. Give it a real nice soak. All right, and I should probably mulch over this whole area, but for now especially, I'm gonna keep this nice mulch, retain some water there, make sure it has a nice head start. And if you noticed, I applied the fertilizer before I put the mulch on. And you know what? I'm gonna do it after too, to kind of give it a slow release. Since I didn't use all that much, just gonna give it a little bit on top too, so it can slow release a little more. We'll also water that in one more time, just to kind of keep wood chips down, retain some moisture. All right guys, well that's gonna do it for today. I just wanted to run by these products one more time. Just to be completely transparent, I am an affiliate, and I will share a link to the website as well as a promotional code, which will be Haradin, so you can get 10% off yourselves. But again, this was the foliar spray we used today, all natural. Base ingredient is diatomaceous earth, as well as some other all natural herbs that will deter pests. As far as the fertilizer, of course, it's all natural as well, and it covers the typical NPK, but also has, you know, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, iron, lots of other things that most even organic fertilizers won't even have. And so yeah, just so you guys know, I've done videos with Charles as far back as like 3 years before I was even an affiliate. I just really like his products, and I initially reached out to him. Great guy, you know, he gets back to all of us. And you know, you reach out to him on Instagram or Facebook and he'll get right back to you no matter who you are. Great company, great guy. And if you guys know my channel, I do not work with a lot of affiliates or sponsors. This is just truly a product I'd sought out and truly believe in. All right, so again, I will put the website in the description along with the promo code. And as far as the pomegranate I got, I don't know if right now when this video is being made that they will have any of that exact variety in stock, but they should have other things, pomegranates, and I know they work closely with Dave's Nursery, but their plant came in excellent condition. Everything looks good, looks nice and healthy. So I do recommend you visit the website. And even if you're not interested in these products necessarily, I do encourage you to check out their little nursery. If you're new to my channel, consider subscribing, and likes and comments go a long way as far as the algorithm. All right guys, well that's gonna do it for today's video. As always, thanks for tuning in. Until next time.